important are public fora for the Filipino voter? Let's bring in now Clarita Carlos, political science professor from the University of the Philippines. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. Is it the responsibility of all candidates to be part of these events? Or could they pass up these debates and foras, which is a platform for all Filipino voters to listen to their platforms because of conflicting schedules?
Maybe, Rico, responsibility is not the appropriate word. Well, it's really up to their determination whether they want to attend or not, whichever interview or debate. And it's up to them to make a calculation in regard to the intended or unintended consequences of such decision. I don't know why there's so much brouhaha about X person not attending and what certain persons attending. Like tomorrow, why do you have only 5 when there are 10 qualified presidential candidates?
Well, 6 were invited by the Kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas because these are the 6 who are among the top presidential aspirants in surveys.
Well, why should the surveys be the horse? I mean, surveys are just snapshots of what 1,200 or 1,600 people think at a certain day when they were asked. So I don't know. If you can change your mind, invite all the 10.
But
after all, their names appeared in the ballot.
That's right. There are 10 presidential candidates on the ballot. And for the 67 million Filipinos, Professor, who are eligible to vote on May 9th, how would they know if a candidate's plans are realistic and genuinely for the people's welfare, or they're just showing off?
They wouldn't know. There are several publics, Rico. There is not one monolith public. And there are certain publics which are composed of fairly informed, fairly educated people who will have some certain high criteria for selection, but there are some others who don't really care to read and will just, follow the numbers in the survey, maybe follow what their employers tell them or what their parents tell them. We don't know because, these surveys, they don't answer why. They are not asked why. And therefore, most of these things that we want to know, they belong to the realm of conjecture because they're simply asked, whom are you going to vote if tomorrow were election day? Isn't it?
So Professor, with what we've seen so far in the survey results, so this sampling doesn't basically show that people are looking for experience, public service track record, good governance, and trusted leadership in the next president?
Well, those are good traits, but as I said, different publics will look for different criteria. Me, Rico, I will look for a candidate who will address the issue of our survival as a planet and our survival as an archipelago. Climate change, mitigation of the consequences of climate change, and 2 others, health and education, which are related to the first one. So, to the extent that I can find them in any one candidate, I will put his name on May 9.
So why can't the electorate be like you, discerning, a discerning voter who cares about the issues, climate change, the West Philippine Sea, corruption, key social issues, the economies and jobs? What do you think is lacking in the Filipino electorate, Professor Carlos?
A lot of things, Rico. But, I'm as old as the Republic. I'm 75 years old, But, one of my legs is already in the grave, ready to die. But the Republic is still a teenager. They're just finding out who am I, wanting to kill itself, harming itself, and like. But that's what democracy is all about. And since we all agree that my vote is equal to the vote of somebody selling maruya in the street, apologies to the one selling. But you get my point? Do you know where I'm going to? So it seems, because we agreed to the one man, one vote, okay, we also agreed to majority rule. Whoever gets the highest number of votes on May 9 wins. Never mind that it's 99 versus 100. That's why, to all your listeners, please don't be lazy on May 9. You have no business complaining about government if you don't go to the polls and vote.
So why is the electorate still teenagers? Why hasn't the electorate matured, Professor?
Because if you look at the demographics, Rico, this is a quick and dirty answer. You will notice that they belong to young people like you. The demographics is almost like, I think, upwards of 80%. And so that means, you're really trying to find your footing in regard to who among the array of 10 candidates am I going to choose? given my limited source, plus given the kinds of miseducation that I got in my K to 12 and beyond in the university, how am I going to choose from among this buffet of 10 dishes? It's quite difficult, Rico. I'm a political scientist, so I'm soaked in this issue, because that's my livelihood. And I breathe politics from morning until I go to sleep. But so I am, I don't know how many of the 110 Filipinos would belong to my category. But yes, I'm very guardedly optimistic that we will get there. Rico, many of the so-called democracies now, they had to kill each other. They had a civil war to get to a politically stable condition. But we were a better people. We're getting there. So, yeah. And you, Rico, you would be one of the stalwarts of our country. You're a well-known journalist. You have very deeply insightful. And just to inform you readers, when Rico was so young with Mon Isberto, I don't know what channel that is, he used to invite me, and I like it. He has honed his skills as a scholar journalist, and I like that. So welcome back to the country, Rico.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Carlos. And like what you mentioned, you live, breathe, and eat politics, and you've seen what has happened over the past decades because you're a political scientist. And of course, Professor, we've seen a number of interviews over the last few days and weeks. I mean, this KBP presidential forum will be seen basically nationwide, simulcast on 300 stations. What else do you think should be asked of these candidates?
Well, can you please ask them about foreign policy, Rico? If I have a chance to contribute to your questions, I will ask about the Quad as a collective security alliance. I will ask about the AUKUS. I will ask about how we, right smack, in the middle of China to our west and the United States to the east with a mutual defense treaty, how we shall decide in case there would be a contest between the two. Those are the kinds of questions that you should ask tomorrow, Rico, if I may give an unsolicited advice.
So, Professor, why isn't this the sole or a key issue or platform or strategy of many of these presidential candidates? Are they not aware of a foreign policy? They are not aware what's happening outside our borders? They're not being advised properly?
Well, if they're threatening to lead us, for God's sake, they should read. They don't even know about the Quad and the AUKUS and all these things that we just mentioned. We killed themselves already. I'm sorry. You're threatening to lead us and you don't know these things. Hello?
And Professor, finally, how do you think the recent statements of retired Commissioner Weno Guanzon about Marcos' pending disqualification cases are affecting how people see the COMELEC as an institution?
Well, Guanzon is not the COMELEC. Let her shoot off her mouth and, rant however she wants. I think by this time she would have retired. Maybe she has some points. Maybe she doesn't have some points. Maybe she thinks that some of her co-commissioners are lazy and do not want to write, good decisions. So that's her call. But I don't think the COMELEC has been compromised. The COMELEC has been there, Rico, for as long as we can remember. It's a constitutional body, and it's just a glitch in their life. And I think they have internal rules to deal with this. So there's so much brouhaha about nothing, really.
Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word and for your insights, UP Political Science Professor Clarita Carlos.